Good afternoon from Nafpaktos in Greece. It's the final day of the 2022 Lepanto Formula Kite European Championships. Hi, my name's Andy Rice, and I want to ask my co-commentator, IKA President Mirko Babini, what's it like racing a kite foiler in 16 to 20 knots of breeze?
For sure, it's going to be amazing, Andy. We will have, for sure, a great show, and for the first time, we will see the big boys doing they will do an amazing race in this kind of condition. It's going to be pretty interesting for us and for all the spectators to see.
My heart is beating. I'm nervous. Will the riders be nervous?
Few of them maybe more than the others, because this morning when we were speaking with some athletes, they say we are used to train ourselves in more than 20 knots. So let's see if they feel more comfortable than us here.
We've had a pretty dramatic week so far. Let's just update you. Well, let's tell you what's going to happen this afternoon, because the medal series is an innovative way of making sure that we find worthy European champions whilst leaving the door open for people that have not done so well in qualifying and Gold Fleet to still win on the final day. So it means that any of the top 10 women in the women's event, any of the top 10 men in the men's event can still win the European title today. So the old way of thinking in sailing will be, well, how would that be fair on the people that have done well throughout the week? How do we reward them? Well, the way that we reward them is that in the case of the men, we have Max Mader from Singapore, who is wearing the yellow bib. He won the qualifying and Gold Fleet phase of the week over the last 5 days of competition. Lauriane Nolot from France, she won the women's competition. That gives them an automatic bye through to the 4-rider final later on this afternoon, and they've only got to win one race in order to secure the European title. Those are the only two athletes that have to win one race. Just below them, we have Toni Vodisek from Slovenia. He goes through to the final straight away, but he has to get 2 wins in the final in order to beat Max Mader and the other 2 riders, whoever they may be. And with Jessie Campman, she's also from France. She goes through with her fellow French compatriot Lauriane Nolot, but she also needs to win 2 races compared with Nolot's 1 race win. And then what we're about to see are the semi-finals. So we've got 4 riders in 2 semi-finals. We're going to watch the women first, and only the winner of each of those semi-finals goes through to the final later on. And guess what? They've got to win 3 races in the final later on this afternoon, whoever those semi-finalists are. So stay with us. It's a really good format, and sometimes, Mirko, we see these titles wrapped up in just one race. Sometimes we, like with Nina Arcic in the Youth World Championships in Torre Grande earlier this year, she won an amazing number of races to come through from, I think, about 6th place at the beginning of the day, and she ended up winning the Youth World title. So that's the excitement of this format, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's an amazing format where they give the door open to someone that didn't make it straight to the final, but at least on the top 10, to have the aim that it might happen something at the end of the day. So they just need more consistency, obvious, and then it's gonna be great to get more bullet, because more confidence on themselves. So it's a great format, and let's see if some of the not the top they will win and get some bullet on it.
Well, let's find out more about the characters that are actually taking part in today's competition. We handed out the coloured bibs earlier on the stage here in Nafpaktos, so let's take a look at that bib ceremony now. Lauriane Nolot in the yellow. So those are the riders for our 10 riders that we're going to see racing today. And the only two that are definitely through are the yellow and blue bib wearers from France, Jessie Cameron and Lauriane Nolot. So Mirko, these are the conditions. What size of kite will people be running with today?
Yeah, we saw most of them, they were in their end 9 and 11. So some big one, big girl, they will use 11 or the smaller, the 9, but it's going to be, I guess, an 11 choice at the end of the day, because the wind is supposed to drop a little bit, just a couple of knots. They will be more comfortable on the 11.
Okay, so the more wind you have, the smaller the kite you use. So 9 is the smallest, and then we see some of the men using 23, 21 square meters tends to be the largest kite size used by the women. But as you say, it's going to be 9 or 11, the choice today. And what's the downside of using a 9? Because the 9 seems to be a very reluctant choice for some riders.
Yeah, the 9 is going to be good for the start and the first upwind leg, because if you have enough power to push in your board, then you will get a great angle and a great speed. But then on the way downwind, that doesn't work. It will not give you enough speed and enough deepest on the downwind leg. So have a risk to run the race on a smaller kite, then it doesn't help to get the performance like that as you want. So this is why I'm pretty sure they will go with a bigger kite, because we have to remember we have a short track race course, which it takes just more than 6-7 minutes, a little bit more.
And the course, what kind of course will they be doing today?
They will run in a short track format, which is going to be it's called XS X-Ray Sierra course with a slalom 2 with a slalom at the end. So it's going to be with windward leeward 2 laps, and then all the way to the mark after the first reach, and then last jibe, and all the way straight to the finish line.
Now the windward and leeward, the up and down part of the course, you have some control over the power that you put into the kite. I suppose you do on the final 2 reaches as well, but the final 2 reaches, potentially quite a lot of jeopardy, an opportunity for a slip and a mistake on the final reaches to the finish. Do you think, in this breeze?
I guess it's going to be a challenge from the start to the finish in a condition like that. So first of all, the starting line need to be really clear, no mistake at all. Try to stay in front and not too close to the other. We have to remember that on back in other events we had all 4 semi-finalists and also the finalists just start on port directly to avoid one tack. So it can be also part of the strategy today. And we have to remember that the windward leg is alpha nautical mile, so 0.5 nautical miles. So it's going to be like 1 minute and few seconds upwind leg.
Well, we've got about 7 or 8 minutes to the start of the first race, and we're going to be looking at women's semi-final A. So just to remind you of the runners and riders in this one, it's 4 in all of the races today, and already on 2 match points, only needs another race win in semi-final A is Israel's Gal Zuckerman. And then Australia's Brianna Whitehead, she's on 1 match point. Jingle Chen from China and Israel's Maya Ashkenazi, well, they're going to need to win 3 races to be able to progress through from semi-final A. So that's the situation with these 4, 2 Israelis, an Australian and a Chinese. And interesting that we got so many non-European competitors, and it's possible that a non-European could actually win the overall championship today, Mirko. Why is it that we have the non-Europeans taking part in this event as well?
So the main reason is because they got the European, they come to the European also for training themselves, and we have to remind that in the next 2 weeks they will start the Worlds also in Europe. It's going to be in Sardinia. So most of them, they take the chance to get in Europe earlier and to have a training period before the World. And this is really super good for an event like European Year in Greece, in Nafpaktos, to have such a big name and important country outside of Europe.
Well, we've got just under 6 minutes to the start now. Before we come back to the pre-start for this race, let's look at the lineup for the men later on this afternoon. We did a bib ceremony for them on the stage in Nafpaktos. Let's take a look. Max Mader wearing the yellow jersey, so he only needs to win one more race. Mirko, how are they going to spend their time with just under 5 minutes to go? What are the final preparations? Are they still going to be putting time in on the upwind just to check the wind shifts?
They will do both. What we suggest to the athletes always is to stay in the water and to push, not 100%, but to start pushing to get also warmed up, which is really important to be comfortable, to feel more comfortable with the choppy water that we have with this kind of wind, and get an impression of which kind of position you have to keep on the way upwind and downwind as well, and to take more confidence, which is the again, the wind shift, the wind gust, the water and the current and the choppy. So it's really important to spend more time around the course to get and to feel comfortable, because it's gonna be their play field for in the next few minutes. So it's really important. Nothing specific. They just need to get used to stay with that kite at this speed, and then the pressure under the foil.
Okay, we'll do a quick ad break and then we'll be back to you soon for the start.
At Ocean Spray, our cranberry farmers manage our water to help support a more sustainable agriculture. We take great care to conserve our water. We then share it, and finally we recycle it. We do this because water helps to protect the crops from the winter cold. It naturally reduces the insect pest populations, and water helps us to gently harvest our juicy cranberries.
Okay.
But I don't think.
Okay, so we have got 2 minutes 30 to the start, and the breeze is blowing hard. It's 16 to 20 knots, and the blood is pumping as these four riders get ready for the start of semi-final A. That's Gal Zuckerman from Israel, Brianna Whitehead from Australia, Jingle Chen from China, and also from Israel, Maya Ashkenazi. Now watch out for the red bib of Gal Zuckerman. It's the red bib that tells us that Gal only needs to win one race in this semi-final, and she has booked her spot in the final later on this afternoon. Brianna Whitehead, she needs to get 2 race wins. Jingle Chen, Maya Ashkenazi, they need to win 3, so they've got a lot to do this afternoon, do the Chinese and Israeli riders. Just under 2 minutes to start.
I think we should look outside at some point. There is no way. It was not that. It was not.
So they're lining up, just getting their eye in for this start. It's going to be a very short line. And we're just over 1 minute to the start, and it's so difficult to judge time on distance in these fast kite foilers. You cannot afford to be over the line, but you also want to be as close to that invisible line. You see in the middle of your screen, the committee boat, that's the 1 minute flag just coming down. And in a moment, you'll see these 4 riders getting close to the line. And it's a matter of which side of the start line do they want. If you start near the committee boat, then you have the opportunity to hold on the others and to control the situation. There we have our 4 riders. And wearing the green bib, Brianna Whitehead, looking like she's going for the pin, and that's the furthest right board is Brianna Whitehead. And we got Gal Zuckerman with the yellow ozone kite. 10 seconds to the start. At the moment, they're pretty well behind the line. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's go. So really good starts by Brianna Whitehead. Bit of a splashdown there for one of the riders at the far end. Gal Zuckerman just about hanging in there in the middle. And Maya Ashkenazi is the board at the bottom of your screen. So Brianna Whitehead looking very fast, but also Jingle Chen looking good. She's a little bit poked out compared with the rest. You'd say that Jingle Chen is the early leader here, wouldn't you, Mirko?
Yes, exactly. Jingle Chen is just the one leeward to Brianna Whitehead.
And there you have it. Jingle Chen is the blue board in our tracking. And it's looking very good for the Chinese rider. And we're seeing 3 boards tack, and Jingle Chen's going to tack at the top of your screen now. So Maya Ashkenazi looking good out of that tack and leading the charge over towards the right-hand side of the racecourse. Gal Zuckerman also with a good line. And it's still very even between these 3. If anyone is struggling marginally, it's Brianna Whitehead from Australia, who is in danger of slipping into the slipstream of Maya Ashkenazi. And Brianna Whitehead struggling to hold on. Maya Ashkenazi has the higher angle, and Brianna Whitehead is dropping down the other side of Ashkenazi. But Brianna Whitehead still finding a good lane, so it's still extremely even between these 4. Jingle Chen with the marginal advantage.
Now they will tack. They hit Jingle Chen. She did a really great tack, straight, a little bit earlier before the lane line. But it seems that then she fall.
So going around the first mark is very, very close indeed before the front 3. Gal Zuckerman doing extremely well on the downwind. Just ahead of Ashkenazi with Brianna Whitehead to windward. So Jingle Chen had a crash. And that's the moment when Jingle Chen slipped from the lead. And that's how quickly it can go wrong. And it's still very even between the other 3. Gal Zuckerman looking good with the yellow ozone. And to windward of her, Maya Ashkenazi. And look at the speeds in excess of 31 knots downwind. And Brianna Whitehead still going extremely fast on the far side of Zuckerman. Ashkenazi with the blue kite going into a jibe. Same time as Gal Zuckerman. The 2 Israelis have jibed, and now it's Australia's turn to jibe. They've all completed that manoeuvre successfully, with Gal Zuckerman flying down to the bottom of the course. And remember, she only needs to win this race, and she has booked her spot into the semi-final. Brianna Whitehead and Maya Ashkenazi, one of them needs to get past Gal Zuckerman to keep this semi-final alive. Maya Ashkenazi tacks away with the blue ozone kite going out to the right-hand side. Brianna Whitehead following Gal Zuckerman out to the left.
Yeah, for sure, Gal Zuckerman, she will try to close the door straight ahead, taking this bullet.
Do you think that Gal can tack when she wants to, or has Whitehead got control? Well, there we
No,
have
she
our
can
answer,
do.
Mirko.
Yeah, no, she can do. Yeah.
So simultaneous tack by Zuckerman and Whitehead out on the left-hand side, while Ashkenazi has gone out to the far right. And what news of Jingle Chen? Is she still able to come back into this? We'll see if we can find out how the Chinese rider is doing. But this is where the action is up the front between these three.
Yeah, she's back. I guess that Jingle Chen, she lost his opportunity. She's back on the race, but far enough to Ashkenazi and Gal Zuckerman.
So a recovery by Jingle Chen, but it doesn't look like it's going to be enough. Maya Ashkenazi is tucked on the far side. To your left, you see Gal Zuckerman, and in the middle of the picture, Brianna Whitehead from Australia, matching the pace. And now the Australian tacking onto the final lay line. Gal Zuckerman also tacking. How will Zuckerman's tack work out? Pretty good, but definitely Brianna Whitehead is in a position to attack Zuckerman. What's their judgment been like on this lay line? Have they made a good lay line call? It looks like...
Yes, a perfect lay line, Handy. Yes, look at. And now it's going to be all the way down. And I guess that Brianna, she will try to get her deepest and control her from the windward side.
And we got different technology here. We've got Whitehead on a fly surfer and the Ozone, an alternative kite design of Gal Zuckerman just jibing.
Yes, she went for a separation because it doesn't make a lot of sense to try to stay in front so close to avoid any possible contact. So she just went for an early jibe.
So Whitehead is the one that could keep this competition alive if Whitehead can just get ahead of Gal Zuckerman. And it's still so close between these two. And it's Whitehead, bottom of your picture, who's wondering, is she going to be able to jibe ahead of Gal Zuckerman? Zuckerman has just completed her jibe on the right-hand side. The yellow kite coming towards Brianna Whitehead. Can she keep her nerve? At the moment, it looks like Zuckerman still has the advantage, but there are still two reaches. Oh, and there's been a wipeout for Whitehead, so that gives a bit more breathing space to Zuckerman. Whitehead still struggling to control her fly surfer kite as Gal Zuckerman swings her Ozone kite around the leeward mark for the final time. And it's the fast charge towards the slalom mark. It's going to be a jibe around this mark. And Zuckerman, you don't need to do anything flash. You've just got to stay on the board.
Last reach for her.
Taking it a little bit easy as you can ever do on a board, doing 30 knots of speed as the Israeli fires across the finish line. And it looks like she's done enough. She punches the air, and Gal Zuckerman closes out semi-final A in her first race. And she is absolutely delighted, as she should be, because two of her rivals had a crash and burn. And well done to Gal Zuckerman. The applause goes up from the beach, and there's a lot of happy people to see Gal Zuckerman booking her spot alongside the two French riders who are already into the women's final later on today. And Ashkenazi comes in second across the line. That's Israel 1 and 2, Whitehead in third, and Jingle Chen, who was leading in the early stages. The Chinese rider comes across in fourth place. We'll go to an ad, and we'll be back to you soon for a bit of an analysis on that one.
DR5, built to win.
Mirko, what a race. What a race. Jingle Chen, it was the tack up that first beat, and it just all went wrong for her. And then that wipeout by Brianna Whitehead. It's really, really hard to stay on the board and keep the kite in the sky.
Yes, exactly. Jingle Chen, she had a really great start. Almost, we were looking almost in control. Great speed, great angle, windward, but just at the first tack, she mixed it up and she lost the opportunity to keep the door open on the semi-final and open the door to Gal Zuckerman, well deserved, and close the semi-final A, and we will see Gal on final.
Wow. So that was a breathless race. What will we get out of semi-final B? So we're already into getting into sequence for the next start for semi-final B, and we'll just remind you.
We have a green flag display on the boat on the fee. So there is no protest. Okay, then no protest. Perfect. So we can go ahead.
Okay, that's a relief. So it was a clean race, but it was not a race without drama. Jingle Chen crashing and burning on her second tack of the race. We've got just over 30 seconds to the start of semi-final B. This is going to be between Magda Wojciechowska from Poland, Poema Newland from France, Isabella Satrian from Poland in the green bib, Gisela Pulido from Spain in the red bib. So we saw a very even, clean start, and it took a while for the riders in the other semi-final for anyone to exert an advantage. Let's see who can get the jump on the rest as we get into the final 10 seconds before the start. And it's Wojciechowska going for a port tack start. How's that going to work out for Wojciechowska, top right of your screen, as she passes behind the other three? This could be smart thinking by the Polish rider because she may well have one less tack to do. It's a clear start, and firing out on the right-hand side to windward, we've got Isabella Satrian, and then we've got Gisela Pulido in the red bib, and we've got Poema Newland also. But it looks like, especially with that splashdown, that Gisela Pulido is falling behind in the early stages out of that start, whilst we have to keep an eye on Wojciechowska going out to the right by herself after that port tack start. So Pulido tacks, she's the last to tack. And we've got Poema Newland and Isabella Satrian with the fly surfer, bottom right-hand side of your screen. And Wojciechowska already going out to the right-hand side, but not looking that fast, the Polish rider. So a bit of a speed problem for Wojciechowska.
Yes, it's true. It seems that she doesn't have enough speed to stay close to Gisela, and Gisela now she has a really good angle. And it seems also that Wojciechowska going all the way to the other side so far doesn't really pay off. But they are not far away at the end. We will see Poema which lead she will have on the top mark.
And remember that this time it's Gisela Pulido that the others need to keep behind them if they're going to keep it alive. So at the moment it's Poema Newland that's leading with the black kite on the left of screen. So this will be Poema Newland potentially notching up her first match point win. Newland needs to win 3 of these races. It's a bit of a squeeze for Satrian to get around the next mark, and that has not worked out at all well for Satrian. While around, so it's a crash down for Satrian. So let's have a quick look back at that. So Satrian at some point knows that this is going to go wrong for her.
She really decided that too late to start to get that extra angle upwind to be able to get the mark, to round the mark, but it was just too late and it was not enough to kick the board upwind and to get the mark around it. That really bad move for Isabella.
Meanwhile, at the front, here's Newland with the black kites with good space between her and the others. And there's the overall situation. A big battle between Pulido and Wojciechowska for second and third. Quite a slow jibe there for Poema Newland, but she's safely through. Not going that fast, but she's got some breathing room ahead of the next 2 behind her.
Yeah, we have to remember that to give a stop to this semi-final B is just about Gisela. Gisela is not in front. Poema is keeping the door open, and let's see if she can manage to lead until the end, the semi-final B.
And Poema Newland, who was actually leading this competition earlier in the week wearing the yellow bib, she had a slip from form in the middle of the regatta, but if she carries on sailing the way she is at the moment, then she could yet go through and win the European title. We know that she's got the form and the capability of doing that, and maybe this change of breeze, this stronger breeze that we've seen for the final medal series day, maybe this will play to Poema Newland's best strengths. We know also that Gisela Pulido from Tarifa in the south of Spain, she's going to enjoy these conditions.
Yes, really Tarifa style. She had a great story on social yesterday. She loved the strong wind, gusty wind. I guess that she really loved this kind of condition as well. Really Tarifa style. But she's doing too many mistakes so far, and Poema, she's leading in top of it. So now we see Gisela tacking on the ley line, take herself on starboard.
And this is Poema Newland going through the tack and safely through the tack and going up to the windward mark for the final time, and still holding a pretty good lead while it's a lot closer behind for the other three. So really good, smooth manoeuvring by Poema Newland, leaning into the board as she gets the kite and the board borne away for the final downwind leg, and then onto those slalom reaches. So very solid riding by Poema Newland, doing 32 knots of speed downwind as Wojciechowska comes up to the mark just ahead of Pulido, and Satrian still trailing at the back in fourth place. Very close battle between Wojciechowska and Pulido, which is all playing into the hands of Newland, who is more than 400 meters ahead of the rest. So Newland just needs to keep the wheels on the wagon, and she keeps the semi-final alive for match 2, which we hope to see in just a few minutes' time. Newland coming down towards the bottom of the course, coming down to the leeward mark, and then it'll be into those final 2 fast reaches and across the finish line for the French rider, now more than 500 meters ahead of the rest. Down comes Newland around the leeward mark, swings the kite down, back into the power zone towards that jibe mark. So much jeopardy, so much at stake. And Newland,
Last jibe.
last jibe, and now it's the final reach towards the finish. Building up towards 30 knots of speed as she fires across the finish line. And what a fantastic race win by Poema Newland. Absolutely looked rock solid. Never for a moment did she look in doubt for winning that race. That's how it looked from the outside. It could well have felt differently for Poema Newland, but it's Pulido coming across for second, and Wojciechowska in third, and then some way back is Isabella Satrian still to go around the jibe mark, and it will be a very short wait before they get into the start of the match 2 in semi-final B. So a quick ad and we'll get back to you.
Specially developed for Olympic kite racing sports. The VMG. Revolutionary, highly efficient, extremely fast. Velocity made good.
So Poema Newland, absolutely flawless race. I mean, she looks so comfortable in those conditions, Mirko.
Yes, exactly. We have to remember that she's from South France. That used to train in Hyères, close by. So strong Mistral, really choppy condition, strong wind as well. I guess that is not bad. It's not bad at all for her, and she feels really comfortable. I mean, compared to the other, not really faster, but no mistakes. Clear tack, clear jibe. Right angle, right course, that she didn't do any mistake at all. Really important.
Just trying to find out how many minutes to the next start. just under 2 minutes to the next start. So there's no time to take a breather. And poor Isabella Satrian, if you finish at the back, you probably need the biggest breather and you have the shortest time to recover. Do they even have time to take on any liquids or any kind of re-energizing between races?
They have all their coach on rib, so they for sure spend a couple of minutes sit in the rib and rate it and take some little snack for sure.
No protests from that last race, so that means we can go comfortably into the next one. So 2 match points already for Gisela Pulido. Poema Newland has her first match point on the board. And now we see who else can win the next race. Still important for the other three to make sure that Gisela Pulido doesn't win this next race. Otherwise, it's all done and dusted and Pulido is through to the final. But let's see, there's less than 10 seconds to the start. It's the men coming in for the start of their race. And so we've got Yanis Maus, Bruno Lobo, Maxime Nochet and Riccardo Pianozzi coming off the line in this one. Riccardo Pianozzi, bottom of the screen. It's a clear start. So a great start by Pianozzi with the red bib. And just to leeward of him, it's the green bib of Maxime Nochet. And further up to the top of your screen, it's Bruno Lobo with the yellow ozone kite and Yanis Maus. So pretty even at the start, but I like the tactical positioning off the committee boat end by actually as Yanis Maus, who's now furthest to windward, and it's Riccardo Pianozzi, who it's furthest to leeward.
Yeah, yellow ozone kite, so easy to understand who is Bruno Lobo, and then Maxime Nochet straight leeward to him, windward to him. So Yanis Maus and Maxime Nochet just tacking on port, and then straight also the other Bruno and Riccardo. Riccardo is the way upwind now. You can see on the top of the screen.
It's they're not far off the ley line on the port hand ley line, so there's going to be a lot of manoeuvring required in a short space of time. I think we're going to see a traffic jam up here. It's going to get hectic
because it seems that the wind and the gust just take them a little bit on different angles, so it might be some tricky wind on top. We saw Nochet and Yanis Maus coming close to the ley line and start tacking on starboard straight ahead for rounding mark.
And it's really, really close between all four as they go round, and Maus, Nochet, Pianozzi and Lobo all round in quick succession.
So Pianozzi went for an early jibe. Him is Yanis Maus.
Yanis Maus leading at the bottom of our screen, followed by Lobo with the yellow. And out on the far side, it's Nochet and Pianozzi who are just going into the jibe. Yanis Maus just getting his kite jibed. It's going to be really busy again. Down at the bottom mark.
Four really close. Amazing. It's going to be amazing, the next rounding mark.
Something's got to give. Someone has got to give way on this. Maxime Nochet with a narrow lead. They're doing up to 35 knots as they go round. All four still very much in the fight here. Nochet with the narrowest of leads ahead of Pianozzi, and now the lead changes.
Pianozzi make really a great move and a brave move, I must say, during the rounding. He went really straight ahead, tried to stay close to the mark and slingshot himself out of the mark as quick as possible, just to have Yanis Maus, Nochet and Bruno Lobo just straight behind.
So very, very close still. Pianozzi with a narrow advantage as he swings into attack. with Noche and Mouse and Lobo still in very close contention. Lobo is the last to get onto port tack. They've all tacked a little bit earlier than the ley line, but actually, as I say that, this is going to be another close tack up near the windward mark. So there's no room for error as they come up towards the top of the course. 23 knots of speed for Pianozzi in the lead.
Is extending a little bit the lead. Pianozzi, now this tack is really important to get a straight line and to have a beer away as quick as possible, and Maxime Nocher straight behind the old lion.
And at the moment, it's Pianozzi wearing the red bib, which means if he goes on to win this race, then the whole of this semi-final is done and dusted. If Pianozzi can keep things going to the bottom of this course and get across the finish line in the lead, he has booked his place in the final later on this afternoon. So the biggest threat to Pianozzi right now is Maxime Nocher, who needs to get back ahead of Pianozzi to keep the race alive. Pianozzi showing no sign of letting up at the moment. He's doing about 35 knots of boat speed downwind. That is a phenomenal speed.
Yes, on this kind of choppy water with an 11 is amazing. So jibe now on starboard, straight to the mark.
Earlier jibe by Maxime Nocher. Does that mean that Pianozzi has jibed a little bit too late?
You want to have control. This is why it just jibed a little bit later on. And obvious, when you are behind, if someone in front of you is jibing, the only thing that you can do is try to anticipate the jibe. Last jibe really clear for Pianozzi now. Last reach, you have to keep 100% of control of the board on this foil. Blasting 36 knots now. And he closed the deal for the semi-final A.
Congratulations to Riccardo Pianozzi, the 16-year-old, now actually 17-year-old Italian, has booked his spot in the final. And there's a leap of celebration for the young Italian. That's how much it means to him to get through to the final this afternoon with Tony Vodacek from Slovenia and Max Mader from Singapore.
Yes, he must be really happy. He was really focused this morning.
Okay, we will go to an ad and back to you soon.
Can someone...
4 minutes to the next race, and we're just going to find out which race is up next. There's the results
of the semi-final A, which the 3 bullet of Riccardo Pianozzi, he closed semi-final A. And then Maxime Nocher, he was already with 1 bullet, scored second, so they will keep the place. Giannis Maus and Bruno Lobo closed the semi-final A. So next is going to be semi-final B.
Okay, so semi-final B for the men, and that is going to be Benoit Gomez from France, Lorenzo Boschetti from Italy, Dennis Taradin from Cyprus, and Marcus Edigran from USA. Dennis Taradin, I'm a little bit surprised that he's struggled this week. He's been so solid for the last number of competitions, but in this breeze, the Tarifa-based sailor from Cyprus, Tarifa being in the south of Spain where it's windy all the time, this could be a good day for Taradin to make up the ground. And that green and white flag tells us that, again, we have no protests. That was a clean race, and we've got 2 minutes to start. A quick advert, and back to you soon. Just 44 seconds to the start of the first race of semi-final B. Will Benoit Gomez, wearing the red bib, be able to do what Riccardo Pianozzi did and close out the semi-final in the first match? I'm not sure it's going to be quite so easy for Benoit Gomez, because I think the other three are going to give him a hard time. They're Lorenzo Boschetti from Italy, Denis Taradin from Cyprus, and Marcus Edegran from the USA. 20 seconds to the start. We've only seen one port tack attempt by Magda Wojciechowska so far. That didn't work out for her. I'm still wondering if that is a tactic worth exploring on these short course races, but it looks like all four are lining up for a starboard tack start as they cross the line. And we'll find it's a clear start, so we get into the competition with Denis Taradin, one of the ones to windward. He's the furthest to windward, but Benoit Gomez rather, he's looking good out of the start. This is what the others can't afford to have. That black Kite is a little bit poked out compared with the rest, and it's Benoit Gomez who just needs to win one match, but his closest competition on the right of your screen is Denis Taradin with the fly surfer. And a little bit back is Marcus Edegran. It's the USA rider that is struggling in the early stages.
Yeah, Boschetti is the only one leeward to Benoit Gomez, which is keeping the same speed. He goes for an early tack, Boschetti, compared to Benoit. Let's see if it's gonna pay off.
So on the far side, you've got Benoit Gomez, Taradin, and Boschetti, and then on the far side, Edegran, who did the early attack. And that black Kite of Benoit Gomez from France, that's the one that if it wins this race, then Benoit has booked his place in the final later on this afternoon.
Yes, we can see the Jean Kite. It seems to be a little bit bigger than the one from Boschetti. I don't know about the size, but you can see Boschetti is pushing Benoit really close, and Benoit, he went just covering him from the windward side. Now they will go to the attack. Boschetti went for an early attack, really inside of the mark. Let's see if everything goes well on the rounding mark and slingshotting all of them on all the way downwind.
So an early dive.
You can see Taradin and Boschetti, they hit more than 38 knots straight away on the bearing away.
Benoit Gomez went for an early jibe. The black Kite trying his luck on the right-hand side of the course, while Boschetti is going a little bit lower than Gomez. It's going to be very tight between Boschetti and Gomez coming in towards the bottom of the course. Marcus Edegran is up to third. It looks like Denis Taradin has had a crash. So Edegran also back in the fight now. No, that's Taradin actually. I think that was a glitch that we had. So Taradin still fighting with Boschetti, and Benoit Gomez is back in third. But Benoit Gomez, was a splashdown
for Boschetti.
That was Boschetti. And we saw that happen to Boschetti a couple of days ago at the top of the windward mark. And here we see the repeat of that. Taradin going round, Boschetti just losing control of the Kite for a moment, leaving the door open for Benoit Gomez to round.
It will be a room for discussion. It was inside of the mark. Let's see how it's gonna go until the end of the semi-final. So now we have Taradin and Gomez in front, and Boschetti went for attack to the other side just to try to recover it and go in a
and Benoit Gomez
way.
That left the door open for Gomez to have a really good rounding at the bottom of the course. And now it puts Gomez in control of Taradin as they go out to the left-hand side. Taradin going for the tack. Gomez going for the tack. And Boschetti and Edegran out on the far side. And Boschetti still in the hunt despite having had that splashdown at the bottom of the course.
Let's see, because now we see Taradin matching race with Benoit Gomez. Let's see how it's gonna go. It's gonna go the cross at the top mark.
Very, very close.
Boschetti recover a little bit. Dennis is in front. Him is in the inside. Let's see if it's gonna work also for Boschetti. No, you have to do a double tag. That was a big mistake.
So it looks like Boschetti is out of it, back in the race with Marcus Edegren. Meanwhile, it's Dennis Taradin who's keeping the semi-final alive. Benoit Gomez jibes away early. Taradin goes for a covering jibe as well. He wants to stay close to Benoit Gomez. Taradin gets through the jibe. He's in the lead by a couple of, well, maybe 30 meters ahead of Benoit Gomez. So it's still extremely close between Cyprus in the lead, France in second, and Italy and USA some way back in third and fourth.
Yes, exactly. Taradin is the only one that can keep the semi-final alive, because then if he's gonna finish in front of Benoit Gomez, then we will need another race.
So Taradin has got through his jibe. Benoit Gomez has to jibe again. Taradin has to jibe again. So more jibes than they might have wanted. This is getting really hectic down at the bottom. Do you really want to be doing these extra jibes in this strong wind?
Usually not. You're gonna lose a lot of time, and it's difficult to recover the speed. Then Benoit Gomez just get it in front of Dennis, and Marcus.
Oh, splash
almost
down. Oh, recovers brilliantly. So Edegren and Taradin hot on the heels of Benoit Gomez, but can the big Frenchman keep it going across the finish line? Yes, he can.
He did it. I can't believe it. Look at that.
Massive celebration up in the air for Benoit Gomez, who closes out the men's semi-final B, just like Riccardo Pianozzi in the very first match. So very quickly done and dusted. Run to an ad and then we'll...
I don't know. It's gonna be.
Okay, what a finish for the end of the men's semi-finals. Very quickly completed by Benoit Gomez on his side of the draw and Riccardo Pianozzi from Italy on his side of the draw. So we'll be watching that final later on today between Pianozzi and Gomez, who joined Toni Vodisek from Slovenia and Max Mader in the four-rider final to decide who wins the European title and the silver and bronze medals later on this afternoon. We've got 3 minutes to the next start,
And
but
red flag.
we've got a red flag. So the red
Let's
flag,
see.
Mirko.
It's a Bravo flag. Let's see. Okay, now is down. So green, perfect. So we saw just the green flag. After the Bravo flag will go down, then clear, green, and no protest.
No protests is what the green and white flag means. So we've had a clean set of races so far, and there's the confirmation that Benoit Gomez gets through to the final. Lorenzo Boschetti second, Dennis Taradin in third, and Marcus Edegren in fourth. So a great performance by Benoit Gomez and also Riccardo Pianozzi, who are through to the men's final. Just under 2 minutes to the next start. A quick ad, and then we will get into the start of the... One minute 20 to the start of the next race in semi-final B, where we have Magda Wojciechowska, Poema Newland, Isabella Satrian and Gisela Pulido. And it's the Spanish rider Pulido that only needs to win one more race and she would be through. But as we saw earlier on, just 20 minutes or so ago, Poema Newland from France looked very, very strong in these conditions, winning the race by more than 500 meters. So Newland knows that she has the legs, she has the skill to be able to win these races, and she'll be looking to draw level with Gisela Pulido with another race win. But there's 3 other riders that also want to win this race. 30 seconds to the start. And just coming in for the slow approach to the line, Isabella Satrian furthest to the right near the committee boat. Wojciechowska also up near the committee boat end. Poema Newland with a black kite. And on the far side, it is Gisela Pulido going off the line at the far end. So very good even start so far between the 4 of them. It's Wojciechowska bottom of the screen. Then it's Pulido next along. A bit of a splashdown momentarily for Poema Newland with the black kite. And on the far side, Isabella Satrian, who not going quite so well as the others. Satrian tends to be low and fast, which tactically doesn't put her in a strong place right now. Looks pretty good for Pulido, and it still looks good for Wojciechowska at the bottom of the screen.
And also Poema, she's in control anyway with Pulido.
First attack is Satrian, a little bit behind the rest. The other 3 going all the way out to the starboard, sorry, to the port hand ley line, just as we saw in the previous race with the men. So we've just found out that Magda Wojciechowska was over the line, and so Wojciechowska is going to be out of the race.
So it's the one on top of the screen now.
So exactly, it's Wojciechowska at the top of the screen. In terms of the result, we can ignore the rider at the top of the screen, but she might still have an influence on the outcome of this race because she doesn't know that she is U-flag disqualified. Still very even between Newland and Pulido. And remember, Pulido only needs to win 1 race and she is through to the final.
There is a slightly wind shift, which now give an advantage to Isabella, which she got at the end a perfect ley line to round the mark without doing any extra attack. So Isabella, she just round the mark for first.
And quite a good lead for Isabella Satrian from Poland, but actually a good rounding by Poema Newland from the back already puts Poema Newland up into a controlling position, and the black kite of Newland looking very fast and very in control as the French rider swings that black kite into a jibe. Newland looking fast on the downwind legs.
Yes, really deep, I must say. Look, the position, the bar close to the body. Try to keep as much speed as she can and full power on the back line and go deep as much as she can. She's really fast, eating 33, 34, 33 knots of speed.
Next jibe for Poema Newland.
Jibe, yeah.
And coming in fast behind Poema Newland, it's Gisela Pulido from Spain, who's on match point. Newland gets around the lure mark. Pulido, very good mark rounding by Pulido, pumping the board, try and get that board back up to speed. And Pulido finding a bit of ground, a windward ground, on a slightly higher line than Poema Newland. So putting Newland under pressure. And further back, it's Satrian in third and Wojciechowska, who tacks away in fourth place. But Wojciechowska still doesn't know that she's been disqualified from this race for starting a little bit too soon. Great race going on the left of your screen between Poema Newland in the lead, and it's Newland just going into attack. How much further will...
Oh, Poema!
Oh, it's a crash down. Can she get it up and running in time? That's a big giveaway. This could hand the lead to Pulido.
Might be a big mistake for her, I can tell you.
Didn't manage to get that kite into position. She lost the lift and the board fell down, and this is handing a potential victory to Pulido that could see the Spaniard go through to the go through to the final. This could be the end of the semi-finals.
She must stay concentrated until the end. Another important tack when she will hit the lay line for the last tack. Really important for Gisela.
And what an unfortunate mistake by Poema Newland, who's looked so strong in these conditions, and Newland's now being put under pressure by
Really bad tack as well for Gisela. Some splash. She recovered quite quick, but she lost 30-40 meters.
Well, that keeps the race alive for Newland and Satrian, who are not far behind, and we know that Newland is fast downwind. Is Newland going to be able to put the pressure on Pulido on the final run down to the finish?
She will definitely do until the end, I can tell you. Now Poema, she will go as much as she can. Gisela, she will go for a jibe to cover the left side of the course.
So Pulido safely through the jibe. Newland also needs to jibe. And Pulido coming fast downwind, doing 33 knots of speed. Newland safely through her jibe. And Newland looks like she's starting to get back on closer terms with Pulido. Newland always low and fast. Pulido jibes as Newland got the distance, and she closed the gauge on Pulido to be able to put the pressure on. A bit of a splash down there for Pulido. Newland,
Again.
big crash by Newland. Pulido.
No!
Oh, there's a
What
wrap between the
drama.
two of them. So splash down for first and second. Wojciechowska, she's disqualified. This is an opportunity for Satrian to win her first race.
Can't believe that. Big drama for
Satrian
Newland.
and Wojciechowska go carving past, and it's Wojciechowska who leads around the leeward mark. Wojciechowska thinks she's heading home to her first match point, but she doesn't know yet that she has been new flag disqualified. She's going to punch the air as she goes across the line, and then she's going to be told by her coach or by somebody that it doesn't count for anything. Satrian goes around in second. Wojciechowska on the final approach to the line. The Polish rider, the 18-year-old, about to cross the line for what she thinks is her first semi-final race win. And is there any kind of celebration? A little bit. But yeah, I think the doubt is there already. I think she knows already that perhaps she hasn't actually won that race, which means that it's a race win to Isabella Satrian. Mirko, we'll come back to that in a moment. Back to it. We'll go to an ad first. Well, Mirko, what a drama. What an absolute heartbreaking moment for those two riders, for Gisela Pulido and Poema Newland. Pulido looked so close to being able to close out the semi-final, but then Poema Newland's crash, which took out Pulido as well. So we know that there was no malice, there's no intent there. I'll ask you about that in a moment. That's how things stand at the moment. Isabella Satrian, she now has that race win from that race. She's now on equal points. She's on 2 match points, same as Gisela Pulido. Poema Newland from her win earlier on in the day is on 1 race win, and Wojciechowska, she was U-flag disqualified, so yet to put a point on the door. But how do we unpick that mess? What are the implications, Mirko? Is there a protest that we need to hear now?
I guess that we have to see now. There is a red flag on it, so that it means still protest time. So let's see if it's gonna be a protest. So let's wait. Yeah, and then what's happened? What we saw is just Poema Newland, like expected, always really deep and fast. She was able to jibe in front on the same line of Gisela, and Gisela, she was already on starboard on the direction of rounding the mark. No way when Poema just lost the control of the kite went down a little lower, little bit, because she's splashed. Okay, there is a protest, so we see the flag, there is a protest, so it's gonna take some time. And then Gisela, she just crashed into Poema. Really not fortunate.
Okay, we will go to an advert and we'll come back to you soon to discuss the implications of this. So, Mirko, we see there's a protest pending. Do you know how long they have to resolve a protest? Is there a time limit for resolving a protest?
I think there is not a time limit for resolving the problem. There is a time limit to do the protest, so there is no time limit. Now the jury, the protest committee, they have to discuss the protest, and then let's see. It will take some time to take the right decision from our jury. We saw that it was a mess, so let's see what is going to be the outcome. On the meantime, we saw the boys standing from sitting on their coach boat because they had some time to recover and to rate it and eat something. And in a few, really, in a moment, it's going to be a start.
So that we can't cancel that race, right? That race has to stand. No one's going to take that race win away from Isabella Satrian. Would that be correct?
Yes, exactly.
So where does that leave us?
Right now it's like that. Let's see the outcome of the protest between Poema and Gisela mainly.
And so we know that there's no ill intent. So if Poema Newland makes a mistake and Gisela does her best to avoid the kite of Newland but can't avoid it, what kind of redress could Pulido hope for? Isn't that, I know act of God isn't quite the right term, but isn't that just, well, bad stuff happens on the race course and that's tough luck?
Yes.
But here we are, with time to start for men's final 1. So there's no rest for anyone here. So let's just remind you who's in for the start of this. It is Max Mader wearing the yellow bib from Singapore. It's Tony Vodicek from Slovenia. And then the 2 semi-finalists that won their way through from earlier in the day, it's Riccardo Pianozzi and it's Benoit Gomez. And we've seen how fast and solid Pianozzi and Gomez were. But we also know what a class act Vodicek and Max Mader are. 1 minute 10 to the start. Max Mader, he has been the man to beat more than anybody else this year. Mirko, do you think that anybody can beat Max Mader in the first of these races?
So first of all, Andy, is the first time that we see all those four big boys together in this kind of condition. So I'm really curious to see. It's going to be really a great battle between Benoit and Pianosi against Max Mader and Tony, and none of them they will give up. I can tell you until until the last meter. So 30 seconds to the start. They all in starboard, so they will start close to the race committee boat.
And everyone is going for the starboard tack approach. No one is having a go at the port tack flyer as far as we can see. There's 15 seconds to go. And that's Max Mader on the furthest right of the kites. You can see he's got the yellow bib on for being the leader. It's Max Mader and the rest of them who now launch into acceleration mode. And off they go. Fast start for all four of them. It's pretty even. I would say, if anyone, it's Max Mader, top of the screen, who is a little bit back on the other three. So this is not the best of starts for Max Mader.
So clear start, and then we have Max Mader, Pianosi, Vodisek, and Gomez on. They're all aligned from the top of the screen, where you can see Max Mader. Pianosi, it seems to be a little bit faster. They have the same angle against the wind.
And I think Benoit Gomez, who got a great start with the black kite, is struggling to hold his line and struggling to avoid falling into the line of Tony Vodicek. But Max Mader is a little bit back from the other three. So it's Max Mader who's got the most work to do. And as you correctly said, Mirko, it's Riccardo Pianosi who's looking like the fastest of the four in these early stages.
Now let's guess who's gonna attack first. So Benoit and Max.
And Max was one of the early tackers, but the other two tacked on top of him quite quickly, Vodicek and Pianosi. And so Max Mader struggling to find his clear air on the port ley line. Again, like the women.
Vodisek. I guess it was Vodisek that crashed on the tack.
So bad tack for Vodicek. That puts him back. So big mistake by Vodicek makes this now a three-horse race as they come up towards the top of the course. And it's Benoit Gomez with the narrowest leads ahead of Riccardo Pianosi and Max Mader. The black kite of Benoit Gomez with a really narrow lead. And Vodicek looking to play catch-up. And we know that there is still opportunities. There's so much that can go wrong on this race course. And it's simultaneous jibes by the front three with Benoit Gomez holding a narrow lead over Max Mader. And on the far side on the left, Riccardo Pianosi. Benoit Gomez with the gin kite going up against the two fly surfers of Mader and Pianosi. And the straight body position of 110 kilos of Benoit Gomez looking low and fast. Looking pretty relaxed. He may not feel that on the inside, but Benoit Gomez looking very relaxed as he goes through a jibe. Max Mader swings his kite down aggressively. He looks like he's closing down some of that gauge on Benoit Gomez. Less than 50 meters between the two. And then Benoit Gomez gets round the mark, closely followed by Max Mader. Swings his kite down. And Riccardo Pianosi straight into attack, looking to find something different on the far right-hand side. Max Mader, if he wins this race, he becomes European champion. He's found a little bit of windward advantage on Benoit Gomez, but who do you think's going faster right now, Mirko?
Now the speed is not really important because they are almost at the same speed, 23 to 24 knots of speed upwind, which is awesome, I must say. But it's important not to make a mistake and not to have the board splashing into the waves and the big choppy, because every time that they touch the board, then there is some instability on the foil and it might reduce some speed or losing angle to the wind.
Very, very close between the front two right now. Not much to choose between them. And if anything, it looks like Max Mader has got the legs on Benoit Gomez, and it's getting worse for Gomez because they've overstood the ley line for the spacer mark. And that means that Benoit Gomez is forced to sail down to the line of Maida. And this is bad news for three of these riders, because if Max Maida stays ahead, then he seals the deal. He wins the European title. He will defend the title that he won a year ago. Simultaneous tacks, nothing in it between Max Maida and Benoit Gomez, with Riccardo Pianozzi closing in third. Max Maida just less than a second of advantage ahead of Benoit Gomez, who is first to jibe. Benoit Gomez is going to need to put the hammer down. Max Maida looking fast. Riccardo Pianozzi doing his bit for the cause by building the separation on the far side. He might as well try something different, the Italian. And way back, still not recovered from the splashdown on the first leg, is Tony Vodicek. So the biggest threat to Max Maida and this European title is that black kite, the black gin kite of Benoit Gomez, as it goes up in the air, goes for the jibe. Max Maida, can he hold his nerve? Two very good jibes by the front two. Benoit Gomez trying to close the distance on Max Maida, and now Riccardo Pianozzi swinging his kite in behind Gomez. Very little distance between the front three. Max Maida not far away from securing the European title for the second year running. One final jibe to negotiate. Dances to the front of his board, gets his right foot to the back of the board. Now it's the final reach to the finish, and Max Maida is just moments away from securing victory. It's already one hand off the bar, and he's about to celebrate before he even crosses the finish line, and that is Max Maida from Singapore winning the European Championship for the second year running. And what a performance. Benoit Gomez pushed Max Maida all the way, but the 16-year-old yet again gets the better of the men, and Max Maida bouncing his board in celebration. We will go to an ad and we'll be back to you in a moment. Max Maida steps ashore, and his close friend from Malaysia, Daniel Leung, takes the board off Max, who is arriving to cheers and applause from his fellow riders. Such mutual respect in this fleet. Just getting one of these kites and boards around the racecourse in any kind of condition, let alone in 20 knots of wind, is so hard. But to do it under such pressure from riders like Benoit Gomez, Riccardo Pianozzi, and Tony Vodicek is so impressive. And Mirko, it's so easy to forget that this Singaporean has only just turned 16 years old. How does he do it?
Yeah, honestly, I think not even himself is believed that he's so strong. He's just building every single event. He's building his strengths. He's really focused. He's super clever. He is really good. He's just a racing machine.
A racing machine indeed, and also a great human being. Just a wonderful competitor. No protests, so the results as we see them are confirmed. Gold to Max Maida from Singapore. Silver to Tony Vodicek, despite finishing fourth in that race just then. And Benoit Gomez takes the bronze for France. Riccardo Pianozzi just outside the medals for the 17-year-old Italian, who had a splashdown on the final jibe to the finish, Mirko.
Yes, we saw also Riccardo making a mistake in the last jibe. I guess that he did it because he was really focused to win this semi, and he had all the chance also to stay in front, but at the end, a couple of mistakes pay off, and we all know a few minutes, and we saw it, Max dealing with Benoit, the big French boys, and at the end also he beat him as well. I was guessing that Benoit, he was the guy that giving really bad life to Max Mader, and he did, not until the end, but was really good.
A quick ad and back to you soon.
At Ocean Spray, our cranberry farmers manage our water to help support a more sustainable agriculture. We take great care to conserve our water. We then share it, and finally we recycle it. We do this because water helps to protect the crops from the winter cold. It naturally reduces the insect pest populations, and water helps us to gently harvest our juicy cranberries.
So Max Mader wins the men's European title, but we've still got competition in the women to resolve, and we'll see who comes out on top there. We know it's going to be a new winner because Daniela Moroz from the USA, she won last year's European title. Now, Mirko, she's not here. Tell us why she's not here.
We all know that Daniela, she's already in Sardinia since a week, and she's training every day on Poeto beach, where we're gonna have the world the next 2 weeks. So she's training a lot. She's really focused on the world. She did a lot of race this year, so she just tried to get focused on the main event at the end of the year. We will see her soon.
So there are two lines of thinking, and it's do you get your extra race practice in here? Do you get all that championship experience, or do you keep your powder dry? Do you keep your kites and your line dry for doing your best performance in Cagliari? And we're seeing two different philosophies here. Max Mader, I'm sure he's going to be delighted to have won the world title, and he'll say, well, that was the preparation that I needed. We've got a postponement, so we will go to a video. Let's find out a little bit about Daniela Moroz, who's not here, but we will see on the live streaming in 2 weeks' time in Cagliari. So, Daniela Moroz, who is she?
DR5, built to win.
Okay, we're still on postponement. Race start delayed. Protest pending. Let's go to an ad and back to you soon. So because of that crash that we have between the line tangle and the kite tangle between Gisela Pulido and Poema Newland, we're still waiting to find out the result of that protest. Isabella Satrian from Poland, she won that. But we see the two riders there, Pulido in the red bib and Poema Newland with her back to her. They got their kites in the sky. Have you ever seen a protest like this in a sailing race? This is a new thing for me, Mirko. You have protest on the beach. You could have cocktails with it as well.
No, that's the way how to discuss straight ahead, because until the protest is not clear, then they can't go again in the water and to have another race. So that is that's the procedure for this kind of format, which is really cool. to have the jury just deal straight ahead with the possible incident, and let's see when it's going to be the outcome. Pretty happy that we have really the jury ready and discuss properly, and the important thing is to have a proper outcome to see the semi-final from the girl again into the water and see who is going to get the final place into the final.
So the yellow and black flag flying there, what does that mean, Mirko? That
Okay,
mean...
so we have the result of the protest. So let's see what it will be the outcome of the protest. We have the result, and then okay, so we hear from the jury Poema. She will be disqualified with no redress.
Okay, is that a fair decision in your mind, Mirko?
And Gisela, no redress.
No redress. So nothing really changes. That Isabella Satrian wins that race, and we go forward to the next race of the semi-finals. So just to remind you that it's those two in the
into bull.
And so it's Gisela Pulido with
and Isabella.
2 match points. Isabella Satrian by winning that race, 2 match points for Poland, 1 match point for Poema Newland, and Magda Wojciechowska. She was over the line in that race, disqualified for starting too soon. She's still yet to win a race. She needs to win 3. So it's match point for Isabella Satrian and Gisela Pulido. So we hopefully get back into the race fairly soon. A quick advert and back to you shortly.
Specially developed for Olympic kite racing sports. The VMG, revolutionary, highly efficient, extremely fast, velocity made good.
Going into tomorrow, the top 10 will move on and be split into semifinals, and it's going to be race wins. So if you're able to win 3 races, no matter what position you're in, you're going to move forward. And if you can win another 3 in the finals, you can win it. So even from the back, if you get hot and the conditions are kind of your style, then yeah, you have the ability to win it even from a 10th place going into it.
Today was last day of Gold Fleet Finals. It was a pretty tricky, complicated day, but at the end of it, Lauriane Nolot and Jessie Campman, the 2 French girls, have a bye through to the 4-board final. And in the men, it's Max Mader and Tony Vodisek who have those 2 special places straight through to the final. Now with me is Flo Gruber, who narrowly missed getting into the medal series, the final 10. Commiserations, Flo, but talk us through what happened today.
Yeah, we had a really exciting and long day. We started quite early, had some good wind for the small kites, 50 meter. Some guys went out with 23s and they got a bit overpowered, so there was a bit of a gamble in the beginning, and then everyone switched on 15s and we got some good racing in. Not for me, but the day ended with another 2 races on big kites, 23, and I made it with 2 good results. Missed the top 10, but I think it's going to be an exciting final for the other guys, and yeah, keen to watch it.
Thanks, Flo. And so tomorrow maybe a day for the small kites and the windy weather.
Now I think I'm just on the inside of the 10th place, sitting in 9th at the moment, and it's going to be huge by the end of the day. The top 10 are going to move on to the semifinals. And yeah, the ability to keep going and getting to the finals from there and potentially get on the podium is what's on the line for getting the top 10 today.
Just over 1 minute to the start of the next race in women's semi-final B. And we've seen how difficult it is to keep going, to keep getting around these short course tracks without having some kind of incident, whether it's a line tangle, whether it's starting over the line too soon, or having a splashdown through a maneuver, through a tack or a jibe, or even in a straight line. So, Mirko, there are never any guarantees in this, are there? Max Mader made it look very easy winning that European title, but it's not going to be easy for anyone here.
It's not going to be easy again. And I can tell you, Gisela and Poema, they will battle again and try to see who is going to get to the final at the end. So, Pulido and Isabella Satrian, they are both into bullet. We have to remember now.
So, the bit of a splashdown by Poema Newland just at the end with just 5 seconds to go. Is that going to affect her lineup in the start? They're just about to get going. And it looks like it's going to be a pretty even start between all four of them. We'll find out if it was a clear start in a moment. It's Wojciechowska to windward at the bottom of your screen on the left. And then very close together, it's the Black Kite of Newland and Pulido just to the right of her. And then on the far side, Isabella Satrian always likes starting at that end of the line, and Wojciechowska likes starting at the right-hand end of the line. Newland and Pulido looking fast out the middle of the course right now. Mirko, who do you think's looking good?
It's looking good. The one that is not getting the board into the water, touching, you can see Gisela and Poema, they are splashing the edge of the board often into the waves because, I mean, the chop is getting bigger.
Isabella Satrian, the fastest in the fleet, but she's also the lowest as well. So tactically putting her in a weak position. Another bit of a splashdown there by Pulido. So very difficult to keep riding level above the chop and the waves of the Gulf of Patra where we are today. And they've tacked on to Port Jibe right up on the ley line of the short course. It's a 2-lap windward leeward and then a little slalom at the finish, and it's very even between all four of them right now. Newland with a narrow advantage and Gisela Pulido trying to get some gap beneath Newland, but Newland in control as they go past the spacer mark, and they've got the windward mark coming up very shortly.
Yes, it's going to be interesting the next tack close to the rounding mark because we have Poema and Gisela again super close.
Newland is just ahead as they go round the windward mark, closely followed by Pulido and then Satrian and Wojciechowska. There's nothing in it between these four. A jibe by Pulido, and then a matching jibe from the Black Kite of Poema Newland. And if Poema Newland wins this one, she will get on to 2 points, and then it will be match point between three of them. Magda Wojciechowska, she's the only one who has yet to get a point on the board. Very lumpy conditions. Poema Newland somehow managing to get her board safely over a couple of big waves. And now through the jibe, it was this point of the course where she had that terrible splashdown earlier that resulted in the tangle of kites with Gisela Pulido. And it's Pulido that's chasing Newland around the leeward mark at the moment. Pulido on match point. Newland needs to keep Pulido behind her. It's very close between these two again, and Wojciechowska and Satrian in third and fourth behind them.
So Pulido, she's going more for VMG, more speed. Leeward to Poema. Interesting this move for Gisela, just trying to catch more speed.
And this is playing into the hands, surely, of Poema Newland. I think there's not much that Pulido can do to attack because there's not enough runway And Pulido's going to be going for attack fairly soon, and Newland will surely be able to attack as well and put some bad air onto the kite.
Interesting move from Isabella Satrian, because we have to remember that she has also 2 bullets in his pocket.
So I wonder where these two are on the ley line. And there's a bit of ley line left, so this should be still fairly safe for Newland to cover Pulido. So very fast from them. And as you said, Mirko, we have to see how Satrian's gamble on the far side is going to pay off as she comes in from the right-hand side. Very evenly matched between Newland and Pulido. Going past the spacer mark. Pulido a little bit faster upwind than Newland. Is that a bit of a splashdown by Newland through the tack? It looks like she's got away with it and has actually stretched her advantage, provided that she's judged the ley line correctly, which she has. The French rider, Poema Newland, with the black kite, goes around the top mark for the final time in semi-final match B3 and has pulled a bit of distance on Pulido, who goes into an early jibe. Poema Newland picking her moment carefully to go through the jibe. She's got a bit of distance now. She doesn't need to take any unnecessary risks. Poema Newland needs to win this match to draw level with Pulido and Satrian on 2 match points. And what do you think of her riding style? Is she looking comfortable to you, Mirko, Poema Newland?
I mean, also before she was looking comfortable, but at the end, let's see. I can tell you, if she's gonna win this one again, we have to run in another semi-final.
Successful jibe by Pulido up the top of the screen. Now it's Poema Newland's turn, taking it easy, taking it slowly, not wanting to take too many risks through the jibe. Poema Newland leaning back, swinging the kite in the air as she gets ready to round the leeward mark and then gets the kite back down towards the surface and reaches at high speed, almost 30 knots, as she prepares for the next jibe around the slalom mark. Then the French rider keep things safe and keep things going. She's through the jibe and on to the final reach towards the finish. She doesn't need to push it at 100%. She just needs to get across the finish line. And that will be the second match point that Poema Newland has won today. And what a relief for her. After all the stress of the protest with Gisela Pulido, it's Newland across first, Pulido across second. We will go to an ad and back to you soon. Okay, let's take a look at the standings overall. So now Poema Newland with 2 race wins, Gisela Pulido with 2 wins. Isabella Satrian, I'm being told, is only on 1 race win. So that graphic could well be wrong. I need confirmation on that, but I believe that Isabella Satrian is only on 1 race win. There is a protest, so we have to wait and see what protest emerges. So Isabella, I'm confirmed, has 2 wins. So, but we do have a protest on that race. So we need to wait and find out. Let's go to another ad and back to you soon. Okay, just to confirm again, we've got a protest pending, so we need to wait for the outcome of that. But we've got 3 riders level pegging. The only rider that doesn't have a race win so far is Magdalena Wojciechowska from Poland. Poland's Isabella Satrian, Gisela Pulido from Spain, and Poema Nuland from France, all on 2 wins apiece. So the only way to keep the semi-final going any longer than 1 more race is if Magda Wojciechowska starts winning races. Otherwise, this is a straight 3-way battle between France, Spain, and Poland's Isabella Satrian. And Mirka, I'm going to put you on the spot, but based on what you've seen today, who do you think is looking the strongest out of these 4?
In this kind of condition, I guess Poema, she might have something more than the others, at least on control, the kite, the speed, and the board. Also, if she had a crash on the second semi. But the speed that she proved to have on the downwind legs, she put her on a really good position to close the semi-final on the next one. Like you said, we have 3 of them with 2 bullets, so whatever is gonna win between Isabella, Giselle, and Poema, then we will jump into the final straight ahead, unless Magdalena she start winning and bring on for another 2-time semi-final.
Okay, we'll go to another advert and we'll be back to you soon.
We are on.
Okay, so while we wait for that, let's go to one of our longer videos. I'd love to find out more about Daniela Moroz, who we're going to see at the Worlds in another couple of weeks' time. So if we can run the Daniela Moroz video, that would be great.
For season 2 of SailGP, the league wanted to have female athletes on all the teams, and I got selected as part of our application process for the US team, which was super exciting. So I went through this whole process and tryout kind of, and I was selected by the team, which was pretty cool. And then I joined the team for the first event in Bermuda, and I've done the 3 other events since then. I did Taranto, Plymouth, and Aarhus. So it's been a really cool experience so far. And I'm on the boat usually just during practice racing and during our training days. So I spent a lot of time in position 6, which is like behind the helm. And I'm kind of a passenger and just observing and seeing what's going on. And then I've also spent some time doing flight control, which is flying the boat. And you're trimming the foils to keep the boat riding steady along the water. And then I've done a little bit of grinding as well in lighter wind. And it's been pretty cool. It's pretty indescribable. So in Bermuda on my first week with the team, we went like 49.8 knots, I think, with like one of my first few days on the boat, which was pretty intense. That gave me a really big idea of like how it all works and how fast you can actually go with these boats. And then in Denmark just now at my last event, it was like gusting to 30 and the conditions were pretty hectic, and we went 52.3 knots or something like that. So it's just really cool to be part of the team and to get all that experience and learn from a group of guys like that. I feel really fortunate to be able to do that, and especially like being on a team led by Jimmy Spithill, like one of the greatest sailors of all time and super famous America's Cup skipper. And it's really cool just to be in that group and surrounded by so much knowledge and wisdom that I'm kind of absorbing. So yeah, it's pretty awesome. I'm totally used to sailing by myself and doing single-handed sailing. That's always what I've done. I've done a little bit of sailing with other people. I've done some NACRA sailing and 49er sailing with like one other person, spent a couple sessions on big boats. But yeah, this is my first time being on a boat with like a proper team and with like 4 or 5 other people. And it's pretty different. Like there's a lot of communication going on and you really have to be talking to the rest of the team, and especially between the wing trimmer and the helm and the flight controller, they're talking all the time about what's happening with the boat, what kind of breeze is coming up ahead. Our tactician is one of our grinders, so he's always saying like where the other boats are and where we should tack, and he's on that kind of stuff. But yeah, there's just a lot going on and it's pretty different from just single-handed stuff. It's still a foiling craft, so like all of the ideas and the mechanics of it are pretty similar to kiting actually. You're just kind of applying it to a different platform, and that part, it definitely took a little bit of time to get used to that just because I have pretty limited sailing experience, so it definitely took time to like figure out how to apply those ideas and just concepts of foiling just to a different platform. And then the racing itself, it's honestly super similar because the only, like our courses are a little bit different. They have like boundaries and like a gate at the top and a gate at the bottom. Whereas we have like open race course and usually just 1 or 2 marks at the top, but it's like a single rounding. But it's really high speed, so you have to be able to make really quick decisions, which is the biggest thing. And I think a lot of people coming from just other Olympic sailing classes or any other sailing classes really just aren't used to that speed and having to make such quick decisions, because you know you can kind of like plan for what's going to happen ahead, but here like it's a bit more of a reacting game. You really have to be like just quick-minded and be able to make those quick reactions. So that was like the biggest part that was similar, and of course like the strategy and tactics are really similar too. Yeah, I think the biggest things that are transferable is the strategy and tactics. Although it's a different course where, you know, we're going at pretty similar speeds when it comes down to it. So a lot of it is just like making the right decisions at the right time and learning to think a certain way strategically and tactically. So yeah, there's a lot that is super similar.
So we're still waiting for the outcome of the protest. And that's Poema Newland facing us at the moment. And Gisela Pulido from Spain with her back to her. Poema Newland trying to stay relaxed, trying to keep her game face on in this extraordinary onshore protest situation that we have right now. Just taking a bottle of water from Italian Sofia Tomasoni. Poema Newland rehydrating. So one of the most popular brands in the kiting world for the kites is the Fly Surfer. So let's find out a little bit more about what makes these kites work.
So I'm with Benny Burley, and he is the designer for Fly Surfer kites, and he is the designer of the Fly Surfer VMG2 kite. So how long you worked on this Fly Surfer VMG2? How long were you working on this particular kite?
Basically, it's always a process. Usually it takes around 1 or 2 years, and if you have a successor, a pre-successor product, which was the VMG1, of course, then it's always easier because you have something, you have a base to work off from. But on the VMG2 it was a little bit different because the concept is completely new and there was not really something I used from the VMG1. For sure for the first prototypes, but later on it was really different. But overall I worked around 2 years on the VMG2. So yeah.
And you also changed some things on the inside. Tell us about those.
Yeah, in order to reduce the amount of bridles, we had to make the canopy itself very stiff. And therefore, we used some glass fiber rods, which are on every 3rd rib. in the kite. They are exchangeable if you break them, but they are actually really flexible, so you can really pack the kite however you like without breaking them. So I did not manage to break it. I break one on purpose to know how they break and when they break, but yeah, so.
And what do those changes that you made bring to the kite that you think gives it an edge over the other competitor kites?
Well, the upwind performance is really good because the low amount of additional drag you add to the canopy, and yeah, the overall feel of the kite, so it's really stiff. You can steer it really precise. You get a really precise power out of the kite, so that you can really push all the time for 100%. And yeah, the precise steering and the good upwind performance, for sure the best two things.
Run.
Okay, so the situation, as I've just been told, is that Gisela Pulido is protesting Poema Newland. Now, if Gisela wins the protest and Poema is disqualified, then that would mean that Gisela Pulido wins the 3 points that she needs to proceed to the final. So this is an absolutely critical protest for both parties. Mirko, how often do we see this in the medal series finals?
You know, everything that allowed competitors to play in the water and with the rule is there. I mean, is a part of the game. So if a rider, a sailor, have to protest because has the right to protest someone because there is a rule that has been broken, then she's entitled to do so. Obviously, she will try to win the protest, and if she protests, let's see what the jury it comes out. Is going to be a really important one because Gisela, she went second, just straight behind Poema, so it's going to be really important the outcome of this protest.
So that's the protest committee on the left of your screen. Poema Newland now sitting on the ground, still looking up at her kite, having to keep that kite in control with 20 knots of wind blowing across the boat park, and Gisela Pulido choosing to remain standing. Tense moments for Newland and Pulido. Newland just explaining her point of view in the protest situation.
It's a really an intense moment for both riders. So let's see. On the meantime, the wind still blowing close to 20 knots. I guess how the two finalists they feel. Lorian Nolo and Jesse Cabman waiting and see that they have to wait. Then the men, they close everything. So only two girls, they are waiting. I don't know if they are in the water, Lorian and Jesse. It might be the case, just to stay warm. They didn't expect anything like that for the semi-final.
Extraordinary scenes as we try to resolve this European Championship. We'll go to a quick ad and back to you soon. So this is the court hearing. This is the law court that we have in the situation of kite foiling. The sailing world is well used to protest, but to hear them on the beach like this is pretty new. And we've got the protest flag flying on the race committee boat, still waiting to resolve this as the breeze blows across the Gulf of Patra here in Nafpaktos, Greece at about 16, gusting to just over 20 knots. And it's been the cause of a lot of drama so far, Mirko. What's been the best performance that you've seen today, would you say? It would be obvious to say Max Mader, but is there anyone else you want to highlight?
No, I mean, Max Mader, Pianozzi, Benoit Gomez coming from the back, because we have to remember that at the beginning, the first days, Benoit was not performing really well. It just started to improve during the week, and at the end of the day, he had in the podium. He really deserved it. He's a big boy, and he's working a lot on the kite with the new Gene Kite, setting everything, trying to be really smooth in the water for a boy's 150 kilo. It doesn't sound to be so easy, so really applause to him because he really deserves it.
Yeah, very good sailing by Benoit Gomez, but it's Max Mader who is the men's European champion, winning the title that he first won last year as a 15-year-old, and now the 16-year-old has repeated that feat, and he's a great source of pride for fans back in Singapore and Asia more generally, in a sport that tends to be dominated by the European nations and to a lesser extent by the American nations. So very impressive to see Max Mader, the 16-year-old, setting the pace. Meanwhile, Poema Newland sitting on the ground there with her kite in the air. The jury are coming back to their table. Poema Newland stands up, and it's time for the jury, perhaps, to give their verdict. We'll go to a quick...
Last year, how it was.
So Gisela Pulido also takes her place next to the jury. Poema is disqualified. So we've just heard Poema is disqualified. Gisela Pulido walks away. She goes through to the final. So disappointment for the French rider Poema Newland, and relief for Gisela Pulido. She's done enough to get through, but look at how distraught Poema Newland is, really upset to have lost that protest and her opportunity to win a European title. And we saw that she was sailing well enough to win that European title as well, but at the moment, so upset.
Really bad luck, and they were so close each other. So before she had bad luck, just close to the last rounding mark and crashing her kite. She proved in the water that she deserved to be in the final, but that's the game, and you have to accept it in one way or the other.
Very hard for her to take, but that is confirmation that Gisela Pulido from Spain now has the 3 match points that she needed to go through from semi-final B into the women's final. Isabella Satrian from Poland finishes second. Poema Newland in first after being disqualified from that race, from that protest, and Magda Wojciechowska in fourth place for Poland. And so that means we will move on soon to the final for the women, and we'll find out who will win that European title. We'll go to an ad and we'll be back to you soon.
At Ocean Spray, our cranberry farmers manage our water to help support a more sustainable agriculture. We take great care to conserve our water. We then share it, and finally we recycle it. We do this because water helps to protect the crops from the winter cold. It naturally reduces the insect pest populations, and water helps us to gently harvest our juicy cranberries.
Gisela Pulido heading back out onto the race course, having successfully won that protest against Poema Newland, and now the Spanish rider needs to get back into the game. And here's a refresher of who we've got in the final. So Gisela Pulido is the second semi-finalist to get through, alongside Gal Zuckerman, who won her match very straightforwardly in semi-final A earlier today. And they go up against Jessie Campman on 1 match point and Lauriane Nolot on 2 match points. So it's 2 French riders who were already booked into the semi-finals. We have just over, well, about 5 minutes 30 to the start of the finals. Let's go to an ad and back to you soon. So
AP flag still display on the race committee board.
Just over 4 minutes to the start of the first race of the finals of the Women's European Championship. And I was speaking to Lauriane Nolot yesterday, and she was very excited to see that the breeze was going to be up today. The windier it gets, the more comfortable Lauriane Nolot feels. And the French rider is only 1 race away from winning the European title, because she was the winner of the Gold Fleet Racing. And we saw Max Mader win it in 1. Mirko, what are the chances of Lauriane Nolot winning in 1?
Higher, I must say. She's really used to sail in this kind of weather, choppy water, tough wind. She will for sure don't lose any single meter. If nothing happen, she will be ready to close in 1. She will try to, for sure. And Lauriane, she's really big and strong. And Gal Zuckerman, she will not give up. Also, she's really big and a lot of power on the legs. I'm really curious. So less than 3 minutes to go.
And that is Lauriane Nolot wearing the yellow bib. One of the taller riders, very, very powerful and very comfortable using her blue ozone kite in these conditions. I'm guessing that she's probably on her 11 square meters, so not the smallest choice that she could make. But we've seen that in the right conditions, Lauriane Nolot can be almost a knot faster upwind compared with her rivals. Quick advert and back to you soon.
So black.
Just over 1 minute to the start of the first race of the women's final of these European Championships. And we've got 4 very talented riders to look at. We've got Lauriane Nolot wearing the yellow bib from France. Jessie Campman also from France wearing the blue bib. And we've got our recently qualified semi-finalists, Gisela Pulido from Spain and Gal Zuckerman from Israel. 45 seconds to the start. Gal Zuckerman on the left. Jessie Campman on the right. Looks like Jessie Campman might be thinking about a port tax start. Haven't seen much of that so far today, and the time we did see it, it wasn't particularly successful. But I do wonder on this short course racing if one less tack is the way to go.
So it seems to be the case, and Jessie, she put herself on port all the way close to the pin, so for sure she will go for a port start. No!
What did you see? Is it Jessie Campman?
She crashed.
So Jessie, that's not going to be good timing for Jessie Campman, but she recovers, and 3 of them launch on starboard, and Jessie Campman not quite as close to the starboard tackers, but it was a clear start. And Lauriane Nolot on the right of your screen with the blue ozone kite already going very fast, but good starts by the other 2, Gisela Pulido and Gal Zuckerman. Gal Zuckerman at the bottom of your screen, looking high and fast. Oh, crash for Lauriane Nolot. That's not what we expected to see. She's back up and running very quickly. That's going to put Lauriane Nolot back on the back foot, though. And that's going to play into the hands of Zuckerman and Pulido. And as for Jessie Campman on the far side, we'll see how she's getting on. Gal Zuckerman just going into attack. She's going to be able to put bad air on Nolot, but it's very close between Nolot and Zuckerman, with Pulido just to windward of them. Very tight between these 3, and Jessie Campman must be thinking, I'm glad I'm not in that mess. I'm glad I did my port tax start, but we'll see how that's working out for Campman.
It's going to be really interesting for Campman when they're going to cross the ley line on the other side, because Jessie Campman on, let's say, alone, she got really great space, and they will be all close, I can tell you.
So here comes Campman from the right of your picture, but if Lauriane Nolot has picked a good ley line, then Nolot is already on track. But Campman going faster with a better line in towards the windward mark. So that port tack start for Campman looks like it's working out very nicely. The ominous signs for the rest, however, is that Lauriane Nolot, despite that crash, is still fighting for the lead. So if Nolot can keep her nose clean, then she is looking very fast indeed. But right now, it's Jessie Campman for France, around ahead of Lauriane Nolot of France.
Yeah, the 2 French, they really prove that in this condition, they feel comfortable. Let's see who is going to be from Jessie and Nolot, the deepest and the fastest in this downwind.
That very, very distinctive stance of Lauriane Nolot, bent in an upside-down L shape with her blue ozone kite, pulling her in excess of 30 knots downwind.
And Pulido just windward to her.
And Pulido looking faster than Nolot. We saw signs of Nolot's weakness downwind yesterday. And meanwhile, on the far side, Jessie Campman going at a higher angle, going fast, but a higher angle, which is not what you want downwind. So Campman seems to be losing out. And Pulido, if anything, is the fastest on this downwind leg. It's going to be very close between these 3. Gal Zuckerman still playing catch-up to the right of your screen. Very, very... Oh, it's going to be messy going round this mark.
No.
Nolot gets
and
around.
Then Gisela in the inside, because Jessie just messed it up. She has another round. Is
she doing a penalty turn?
I don't know. That was a big mistake, I guess.
And meanwhile, Zuckerman is not out of this yet.
So she's really, she jibed a little bit earlier, and then the kite all the way down to being able to round the mark, and instead of go again against the wind and take the right angle, she just go downwind.
Well, that's
Big
put
mistake.
Catman right out of it, hasn't it? And now we've got Pulido giving bad air to Lorian Nolo. And that's Catman just going into attack, now way back in 4th place. What a disaster for Jessie Catman. Pulido keeping the game alive, although she almost crashes there. And out on the far side, we've got Gal Zuckerman with the yellow ozone and Jessie Catman trying to catch up from the back. Lorian Nolo goes into attack. Pulido goes into attack. If Nolo can get up to speed quickly, she could climb out from underneath the bad air. And I think Nolo is through the bad air of Pulido. And if Nolo can get to the windward mark without further tacking, it does look like they're a little bit low of the ley line, though. Nolo going fast. And if Nolo gets around the windward mark in the lead, the next question for her is, can she hold off Pulido on the run? Because the Spaniard was looking really fast on the previous downwind leg. Gal Zuckerman tacks with the yellow kite, now in 3rd place. Jessie Catman out of picture, way back in 4th. Nolo just about to go around the windward mark, closely followed by Pulido, who looks so fast the first time going downwind. What's Pulido's best move here, would you say, Mirko?
She will go for an early jibe, I must say, and following Nolo like she did the same, stay on the other side of the course. It was payoff great before, so they just repeat the same move. But again, Pulido, Gisela, she's looking really, really fast, all over 30 knots.
Pulido managing to get down the inside of Nolo here, so whenever Nolo jibes, Pulido should be able to simultaneous jibe and take the lead. These are critical moments for the Spaniard to keep the game alive. And look at Pulido's speed, just a little bit faster, just a little bit deeper. Both things that you want downwind. And here goes the jibe for Nolo. There goes the jibe for Pulido. Great jibe by Nolo. Nolo goes on the attack. Pulido manages to secure the jibe. Just coming down to the leeward gate. Pulido's still in the lead.
Now during the reach, it's really difficult to go and overtake Gisela. We saw it that she's really fast now. Another important jibe.
Will Pulido pull off the jibe? Can Nolo get round the inside and execute the jibe? That could be the winning move that gives Nolo the European title in just the first race of these finals. Pulido pushing hard to try and get back ahead of Nolo. Just moments to the finish line. And Nolo wins the European title at her first attempt. There's no celebration quite yet, though. I just wonder if there's anything going to come out of that. We have to wait and see if there's a protest.
Too soft jibe for Gisela, the last important mark to keep.
Well, that's easy for you to say, Mirko.
Yeah, I know. We are sitting here, but you know, you have to play hard. I was wondering if she would go for not a real radical jibe, but at least really close to the mark. She went far away to the mark and an open door for Lorian Nolo. Well deserved anyway.
Is that a celebration? I don't know if that's a full-on celebration yet. Well, we think that Lorian Nolo has won the European title. It's just that I'm not sure we've seen the body language to confirm it yet. But as far as we know, we haven't heard of any sign of any protest coming. Is there any incident there that we should be aware of, do you think, Mirko?
No, the only things that strange happened was at the first leeward mark when Jessie just mixed up inside of the mark. And anyway, let's see what's come out. No protest, so that's great.
No protest.
No protest, so it was all clear, and Lorian Nolo
is the European champion. So congratulations to the French rider, Lauriane Nelot, taking gold. France with Jessie Campman also taking the silver. And the girl at the centre of so much protest drama today, Gisela Pulido, takes bronze for Spain. So let's just look back at that winning move again, just going through that jibe. And Mirko, you were disappointed with the execution of Gisela Pulido's jibe. Lauriane Nelot really going for it through the jibe and being rewarded with that bravery with the gold medal in the European Championship. What an incredible finish.
Yeah, what an incredible finish. I must say that when I saw Giselle in front and start jibing on the right spot, I didn't expect that she went so soft, rounding far away from the mark, and it was enough. 10 meter and Lauriane, okay, let's take it. And she moved faster, her kite down to overtake her, but great move for Lauriane. That means she was really comfortable and full attack, and great. She close.
Okay, so that means that we have a full set of Europeans winning the gold, silver and bronze in the women. Max Mader is the European champion, although he's from Singapore. So that slightly complicates matters in terms of what we do at the prize giving. But we're well used to that, Mirko, aren't we, of having non-Europeans compete in sailing championships and being able to compete in the European Championships. And in many ways, this was almost as good a field as we'll see at the World Championships in just under 2 weeks' time in Cagliari.
Yeah, in Cagliari is going to be, I don't know exactly how many countries they will enter, but a lot, and more than 150 competitors from all over the world. You can imagine.
Yeah, so that we're missing very, very few. There's the British riders, particularly the women, and also Daniela Moroz, the reigning world champion, and who has just given up her European Championship title to this woman in the picture, Lauriane Nelot from France. And so, Mirko, I just want to say thank you very much for joining me again in the commentary box. It's been great fun seeing a medal series. Of course, as neutrals, we always want to see the action play out a little bit longer. But in the end, the two yellow bib wearers proved to be very worthy wearers of that yellow bib. Max Mader from Singapore sealing the deal in one race, and Lauriane Nelot sealing the deal in one race. But I love this format because you never quite know what's going to happen, and I would love to see other sailing championships follow this format, because I feel like it leaves open the door for some real final day jeopardy. But I still feel whoever wins is still the deserved winner.
Yes, exactly. This is why I think it's so excited at the end of the day. We got the yellow bib winning, and but drama until the last moment from the male and then the female as well. So let's continue with this format, and I'm sure that somebody else, I mean, in terms of other sailing and sailors, they will really love and maybe to do the same.
Well, I hope that you've enjoyed watching the 2022 Lepanto Formula Kite European Championships. Do join us again in just over a week's time, when we will be on Mirko's home waters of Cagliari in the south of Sardinia. And it is the biggest event of the year for the kite foilers. This is the one that they're building up to. You've just seen the second most important title decided. That's the European Championships. From the whole team here, from Mirko Babini, from myself, Andy Rice, thanks for watching, and see you again very soon from Cagliari. Bye for now.